launching the UK Robust Potato Pledge 2021. It's been in the works for a while, and I'm really pleased to be launching it at Organic Matters, as I was collaborating with the OGA at the beginning of this, with Tony Little, amongst others, with this idea. So we're really trying to unite breeders, producers and retail in transitioning, progressing the sustainability of the organic potato sector in the right direction over the course of 5 years. So obviously we'll talk about this more in depth, but just as an intro, you can see we've got quite a strong lineup to start with a launch today for a variety of representation across the supply chain. And I'll break this up a little bit more. So yeah, thanks OJ for having us today. A little bit of background. If you've been in this room earlier on today, you've heard of Organic Plus and what's happening there. I'm going to do a little overview of that, just touch upon the project really. So I'm Hugh Blogg from Soil Association, a horticulture advisor. Then we've got Rebecca Hesketh, who's online. So we've got a bit of a hybrid situation today. And she's partner and SME manager, fresh produce Waitrose, to give a retail angle. And then we've got Professor Dr. Ulrich Schmutz from University Centre for Agroecology, Water and Resilience, and Associate Professor for Organic Horticulture and Ecological Economics. And then there'll be some time for questions, if there are questions from you guys. Alright, so as I said, just a big nod, a big nod to Organic Plus for funding our research on this work. Organic Plus, I'm sure you're aware now, is a Horizon 2020 project and looking to phase out contentious inputs in organic agriculture. So it's really trying to improve organic agriculture as a whole. And within that project, we've got various work packages, impact of plant, livestock, soil, and water. If you haven't got the website, it's links there that you can see those. What's been interesting about working on this potato range is that it spans a lot of those work packages. So impact, the dialogue between scientists, farmers, stakeholders, members of the public. And actually this is something I think that we're going to broaden out. Rory's going to speak about in a little while. How do we increase the impact of what we're trying to achieve with bringing stakeholders, a variety of stakeholders together? And what sort of conversation do we have with the public as well? These are things that we need to keep in mind going forward to maximise the impact of this pledge. Plants, so that was specifically looking at plant health and the impact of copper. So originally that spurred on a lot of the work, looking at how to phase out copper in organic potato production. And due to the emergency authorization process, copper has been taken out of the equation. So now we're in a situation where we do have organic growers who might not have the armoury that conventional growers have. So now more than ever it's important that they're supported through a choice of varieties, which I'll talk about in a second. Potato, blight-resistant varieties has become, I think, increasingly important. And another work package is this, bringing people together, bringing various stakeholders together, and looking at the feasibility of what these proposed alternatives, what it is, because every alternative has toolkit. What's in the toolkit of the organic grower against blight? And one of the major things identified were variety choice. So that is a variety that it has blight resistance, which alleviates the need to use certain fungicides. So that's a key thing. That's a major player in the toolkit, organic growers toolkit, potatoes. And what are the barriers then? Why is this not more mainstream? So there's innovations being stifled in the breeders because there's a lack of uptake of those varieties. It takes a long time to get a seed to a situation where it's named, and then even then bulking it up in order to become a commercially viable proposition is another watch of years, 5 years or so. So it can take up to 14 years from discovering the quality of the potato to bringing it to market. And if along the way you don't get the right signals or you're not getting the right pull from the retailer, it only serves to kind of slow that whole thing down slightly. And then you have producers reporting, they're locked into what the market is demanding, which is for certain popular varieties, and they don't really have those kind of qualities that make it more sustainable. A reluctance from retail to stray away from those trusted varieties that they think that consumers are locked into a certain variety. So you can see that picture. Everybody's kind of locked in to not really moving forward. And I don't think I mentioned this, but this is not original what we're doing in this pledge. This is building on the back of the Dutch covenant, which transitioned the organic potato sector to 100% robust varieties over the course of 4 or 5 years. So I think that started in 2017. So it's a proven model, this, getting everybody together and moving in a certain direction. So that's really the background of why the pledge has been pushed forward as an idea. And I keep mentioning blight-resistant potatoes. What's been really nice working with various parties on this, including Waitrose, is that it's about going beyond blight, really. It's that although blight is as you can see, what we described as a priority attribute, it's one of many that make a robust, sustainable, resilient crop. And so we've not been prescriptive about an actual list, but kind of listed an actual list of varieties. But we put in the pledge agreement some of the things that we think justify a potato being called robust. For example, a desirable attribute, something that's early maturing that might miss the majority of blight, definitely has a case for being called a robust variety. So as I said, we've not made a prescriptive list of varieties. We've rather gone with the idea that producers and breeders, in any case, will be looking at a variety of these. I've heard from breeders, something like 3 qualities you could focus on. Beyond that, things are getting too watered down, and you don't get strength in any of your categories. So it's by no means that the potato needs to accomplish everything here. And we had drought tolerance from Waitrose as a sort of expanding the horizons of what it means to be a robust potato. So that's been interesting, kind of refining that. And I think the appetite in the UK is stronger for more information. I don't think they went into this detail in the Dutch covenant. So that's been an interesting journey. Back to this sort of uniting the supply chain theme, and pulling out a few of those logos now. organics from the Agroecology, Sharpo, or Savari Research Trust, and various producers, and we're excited to have, as I say, Waitrose here today to talk to us, and also some major box schemes. This is just the beginning, and we need to attract more retail and get more people onto this going forward. But it needed to have something cohesive in the beginning to be able to attract. And I'm confident we've got a good picture here going forward. It's such an attractive proposition. And a big part of the organisations that are involved are what I've described as supporting organisations. So those are the ones outside those initial 3 target groups. It's because they really do need support. It can't just be up to the retail producers and breeders just by themselves. We need these guys here. So although this isn't in the actual agreement, I've just divided it into potentially what the attributes are they can bring. So like the English Organic Forum, OGA, expanding the network and the reach of those other, and the impact, increasing the impact of the pledge. Hopefully using their networks and their contacts. Certifying bodies will play a role in looking at the more nitty-gritty details of organic seed and other issues. And then we have our research building on the work that Organic Plus has developed, and I've highlighted here Research Centre for Agroecology and Water Resilience because they're taking on a unique role of monitoring the pledge, which is very much appreciated. And that's a really important role because they are essentially an independent entity that will help to see how we're doing. How are we doing along this 5 years? So we've created a roadmap, which was quite crudely drawn up to begin with, of ratcheting up the percentages to 100 over 5 years. But it seems to have been agreed that that's actually not too bad a way of going about it. Rather than a curve, we're going a linear line to 100% over 5 years. And what does that mean is that in 2026, we're aiming that breeders are able to supply 100% of the required quantity of organic potato seed to cover the UK acreage, organic acreage. We're hoping that the growers involved will be producing 100% robust potato varieties on the UK organic acreage, and that within retail, organic fresh range sold are 100% robust potato varieties. So you can see that supporting organisations will be holding annual meetings along the way. I suspect there'll be an appetite for maybe more frequent annual. But yeah, we'll be collecting people together annually to discuss things and raise awareness and support through public and policy-facing channels. There are things that come up where we talk about how do we educate the consumer, how do we reach the consumer, how do we break down the image of, or let's say develop the idea that we need to be wedded to a particular brand. And I think that's where hopefully the supporting organisations can play a bit more of a role with their large network and interface with consumers and citizens. So finally, just to say before we get Rebecca on the call, there's already many significant key upcoming issues. Very importantly, statistics. How are we actually going to monitor the pledge when AHDB potato is very potentially folding? What do we do about the sort of the database that they were keeping up to date? Because that was something that a bit of a go-to. What are the attributes of a potato? Search the AHDB database. Who's going to manage that? How are we going to know what the attributes of a certain potato were? Because the resistance can change over time. So keeping track of that, and also statistics on land usage. HDB were monitoring that. How are we keeping track of that? And there are things I've already been in touch with HDB, but then by no way resolved. It's quite up in the air at the moment. We've got things like to do with Brexit, so, and now we've got an EU import restriction on potato seed, which has real implications for what blight-resistant or robust varieties we have available at the moment. So we're putting out communications to advise organic growers to get your seed early this year, but that's by no means a long-term strategy. So that needs working through that situation. I think there's an appetite to set up a seed working group which could look at all sorts of issues, but particularly organic seed. It's been identified by various parties that organic seed needs to play a role in this pledge as well. That we make sure that organic seed is being used when available, and increasing that percentage going forward. And we may be able to support with field labs, innovative farmers field labs as an option, like looking at innovative techniques that are, or certain growing techniques, but maybe looking at varieties or organic seed. And there are issues of branding. Do we try to make this a brand, a brandable stamp or something, a logo that goes on produce or not? So those are the sorts of things that are still very much up in the air. Okay, so I'm going to hand over now to Rebecca from Waitrose to talk a little bit from the retail angle.
Thank you very much, Hugh. Hopefully you can all hear me. I am just going to work out how to share my screen. Hopefully you can all see that.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah.
See the ribbon of fossil.
Okay, you're looking to go then.
Hugh, would you mind turning back on the camera?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Hi! Hello everyone!
Oh,
I will do my best without a presentation, but if it doesn't make much sense, stop me, I can explain a little bit more. And Hugh will also be very happy because I can take a bit more time reading through what was the PowerPoint anyway, because I was worried to start with that I was going to go a little into time. So I will do my best.
Rebecca,
Right.
you can actually share your screen.
Oh, can I? Would you be able to see that? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's just the projector's not working.
Has that worked?
Yeah, it's good.
Fantastic. Okay, right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for inviting me along. Thank you very much to Hugh for organising and bringing us all together. And I'm sorry I'm not able to be with you in person today. But I wanted to come and to make the point of how proud we are to support this potato pledge in partnership with our supply chain. Hopefully that's moving slide one, but let me know if it's not working. So, we believe that this pledge is an important step towards finding a sustainable long-term solution to the problem that has plagued the industry for many years. We all know the threat that blight poses to the sector. I think the most recent stat that we've seen is that it incurs an annual cost of approximately £72 million, which is a lot. And so we are wholly supportive of the move to replace current methods of controlling blight in our fresh organic potato with a more robust solution. We think this is the right approach in the long term and has serious positive implications for biodiversity on the farm. And we're lucky enough to work with a great group of growers through our supplier who we will work closely with to meet the commitments of the Business Data Pledge. So thank you very much to our supplier as well and our beautiful delegates, as you can see on the screen, for their support in this. So I wanted to start a little bit by taking this step back and looking at the challenges that we face. Hugh was going to talk detail about the pledge itself. I want to talk a little bit more about the context that we're working in. I want to talk a little bit more about the issues and challenges that we face and some of the reasons why we are seeing this as a call to action and why the data pledge is one of those calls to action that we have objective. So I won't read out all of that instructions. Hopefully they're not too small and you can read them. But I'll just do like a bit of a whirlwind tour of them. So we have all heard the shocking and catastrophic warning that has come from the World Economic Forum that biodiversity is declining globally faster than at any other time in history. When you put that alongside the issue of soil degradation and water scarcity, which the incredible fact of that by 2025, 2/3 of the world population may face water shortages, all at the same time as feeding a population of 10 billion people by 2050. If this is not a call to action, then I don't know what is. We need to act now. And as a business, we have pledged to play our part in this and to support the initiatives to help us act and face these challenges. So I wanted to pull out a quote from our director of sustainability at Waitrose partnership. I thought it was a really great quote for summarising our feelings around, and especially since with COP26 under a month away, we know it is a time for action. The whole world is hearing it is a time for action. And preservation of natural habitats will no doubt be top of that agenda, along with some of those other challenges we face. So the quote is that with COP26 on the horizon, we are constantly looking for ways to improve our impact on nature and biodiversity. This pledge is a great opportunity for us to help reduce our environmental impact through innovation, and we hope that through this leadership and the leadership of our producers, the rest of the industry will follow suit. So what I want to focus on particularly within that quote is the focus of reducing environmental impact through innovation as a crucial part of solving crises we face. And we think that this pledge helps to enable this innovation. Now, Hugh just talked about all of these different factors that block up progress within the supply chain. And we recognise that we are one part of the supply chain that can play our part in being able to bring change about. And so for true change to happen, the whole supply chain needs to work together. And this is a fantastic example of that. And we're grateful for the opportunity to lead the way and pledge to make this change within our supply chains first. And we wholeheartedly encourage the rest of the industry to follow in this direction too. Now, to explain a little bit more about the context in which we're working and some of those commitments that we have made as a company, I wanted to draw your attention to the Waitrose plan, which I think Data Pledge really fits well within. So this was launched back in December 2020, and there is so much detail that sits behind this. So I encourage you to have a look at our sustainability report from this year to learn more about some of those commitments. Okay. So in the interest of time, and not to make everyone stare really closely at the screen, I want to pull out some of those key commitments already. So one of those key ones is making greenhouse gas emissions from our UK farms net zero by 2035, which I'm sure you'll all agree is a tough ambition and not one to be underplayed, but it is vital for us all to reach. and playing our part in regenerating the natural resources we all rely on. Now that's quite already a lengthy commitment, but I think it is the most relevant and encompasses so much that we want to do in this space. And this is where I really think that Potato Veg sits well within our own plans as a business and our own ambitions to make a difference here. So just to kind of refocus on this, as I said, we really do feel that Potato Veg is helping us to move forward with that commitment. And it builds upon what we already do in this space. Now, some of you may know about our partnership with LEAF and the Soil Association, but LEAF have really helped build the environmental standards on which we have built our business. We've worked with LEAF mark standards. We were the first to adopt these in the space. And it's hardly that others are now following in our footsteps, albeit a decade later. And through working with standards like this, we are able to see, on average, our Waitrose UK fresh fruit and vegetable farms give over 12% of their land to conservation habitats, which I'm hoping you all think that is an impressive figure, but one that we can build upon. And on some farms, we are seeing up to 17% of land left uncropped and offering a home for biodiversity. Again, a strong foundation that we can build on, and it is getting these basics right, which is so important. And that's the reason why we have committed to removing meat from our bagged compost by 2023, and we have pledged to remove all potentially harmful garden compost by the end of the year in a new to preserve biodiversity in our garden living spaces. And not only that, we've also pledged to remove an estimated 14 million plastic bags per year from our deliveries. To build on that even further, is we've been named as one of the businesses leading the way in sustainable palm oil sourcing, scoring the highest place out of the UK companies. So fantastic foundations for us to build on. I want to go a little bit more on our growers, and it is our potato growers, who I'm sure you all know, who put into action our commitments to realm of nature on farm. And we are so proud of them and the standards that they uphold. Excited to be working with such an innovative group who will be implementing this pledge for us. But our potato growers don't stop there, and they've been hard at work to enhance sustainability for many years now. And there's lots of other things that we're doing. I just wanted to create a snippet of some of those things to share with you. Try and explain that this is one of many different steps that we're taking on the farm. So some of those that I've picked out are enhancing and protecting biodiversity both inside and outside farming, which means that we're working really closely with landowners and on margins and cropped areas to enhance and maintain biodiversity. But also looking at innovation elsewhere, so using artificial insects as part of crop protection and ensuring suitable habitats for them to thrive in. So beneficial insects might include lacewings and parasitic wasps, but also ladybirds for aphid control and nematodes as well. So we talked a bit about that relationship that we take not only with our growers but also with our growers and landlords for us to be able to ensure that sustainable crop rotation. But also, again, that innovation that we are hoping to be able to embed in our system. So innovation doesn't always come in the form of a train tractor. It can be as small as an insect, as you can see in this example here. And I know in conversations with our growers how supportive many of them are on this pledge. And I couldn't think of a better group of growers who work with us in action. So finally, this wouldn't be an organic conference without me taking a few moments to talk about our organic range. So we are proud of them, and I really wanted to share some of the things that we've been doing through it with you all, and to explain a little bit more about not only what we're doing on farm, but also what we're doing in our product categories. And we are so proud of the success of our Dutch organic range, which we built up to create a popular option, environmentally friendly food. And we've worked really hard on that over many years. We've relaunched the Waitrose range recently with the aim to bring those organic products to our customers with a greater emphasis on that good food, good farming and good causes values in which the brand's known. So amazingly, and it's testament to the hard work that has gone into this brand over the years, is we're now the UK's largest organic supermarket brand and have generated over £30 million for the Prince of Wales's charitable fund over the last decade. The range is now offering over 300 food and drink products, and there is so much exciting progress that we've made with the brand. This is only just a snapshot of that, and I'm sure there's more to come. So this has been a real whistle-stop tour. I hope that you've been able to see it over the screen, but I did want to end with a call for action, which is very much, please join us and support this important one. Blight is a problem for our industry, and we hope to demonstrate that when the industry works together, and where there is a willingness to tackle problems, then there is a way. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you've been able to at least follow a little bit of the presentation from the screen.
How much do you see that as a challenge for you, and what would you say to other retailers to, let's say, calm their fears?
That's a really good question. It can be a challenge, and that's something I actually want to be very honest about, is that I can understand why some of the other retailers may be looking at that as a challenge. What we are always trying to do is to innovate and to develop, and I hope that you managed to highlight that through my presentation. We want to be able to continue to build the products that we have and ensure that we've got great taste and policies that our customers come to us for, but also they're increasingly and understandably expect more from retailers in terms of our environmental footprint and how we do business. And that is completely right, and something that we want to be able to step up to. So rather than seeing this as a challenge, as we try to kind of flip it on its head, see it more as that opportunity that it actually is. And so that is how I would very much welcome the retailers to look at it, is that opportunity to ensure that we are giving the customer what they are asking for, which is something that we're really striving to be able to see. So in terms of value behind a product, more and more we're talking about, well, what is it that makes this product? What's the product and pathway look like? And what are those inputs going into this? Trying to be more transparent, because our customers want to know more. Our customers want to know where the products come from and how they've been created. And I know that they want us to continue to push to do better. And I feel that lectures like this, where we're working together as an industry and we're looking at the solutions to some big problems, open up that opportunity to say to our customers, we are doing better, we're doing this for the environment, we are reducing our environmental impact in this way. And it's a fantastic message to be able to hold it to our customers. So I think that's a very good point where concerns can be and where nervousness can be, because that is just I think it's just part of it, is where you've got a product, you know that works, and you've got a product that you know doesn't work. You are having to move away, but we have to adapt and move with times and move with what our customers are actually asking us to do.
Thank you. All right, we can attempt now to move on to Ulrich's presentation.
Can you hear us? So this presentation is about the potato diversity living lab. That's how it works. I'll show you the people in a minute. So it's based on a project which is called Food Diverse. It's actually a follow-on project of 1 million, but has less partners, and where we are particularly proud of is it is funded by DEFRA and not the EU, or at least our part, and it's about food diversity. And I show you the team of our center. And the presentation was mainly done by Rosa from Kesteren and Adrian Evans, and also myself, Ulrich Schmutz. We already work in Organic Plus. And then we have another colleague, Moya Nivsi. She's done a lot of work with short food supply chains, because we are going into the supply chain, as we've just heard. So that's of interest. And then also John, who is the admin support and finance and other things. So this is our team. And I'll show you quickly the food diverse project. So I said already, it kind of builds on Organic Plus, but it has also other elements. It is mainly in the supply chain. It runs for 3 years, so we've about 1 year in, so we have 2 more years funding for that. And the work packages focus on different aspects of diversity in food chains, basically. So, and we have the dimensions of sustainable and resilient food systems. So one of them is the food culture, the food chain, and food governance. And within them, we're looking at diversity on all different aspects. So diversity on the farm, the agrobiodiversity. We need to diversify our systems to produce crops without copper, but also diversity on the table, diversity in modes of organization. So the potato pledge probably works more in here, and also diversity in the food chain. And one of the things we will do in this project is to have potato living labs, which will run a little bit alongside the potato pledge, which we can discuss now as well, how that could link in. So I wanted to start in a way with what is a living lab. So it's a quite a fashionable term nowadays of living labs, and a lot of them are based on farms. We've seen the innovative farmer in an earlier presentation, where you have innovation on the farm itself. What we want to do with this living lab here is exactly what you said before, the supply chain. So the partners in the chain who are before the farmers, the breeders, the farmers themselves, the retailers, the networks, and at the end also the consumer. So what is this living lab? I said it is quite fashionable. There are organizations, annual European organization, and they say this engagement of different stakeholders in the conversation. So that's what I said. Scientists are also part of the mix, including policymakers. And what we want to do is a living lab which will be based on ecosystem principles. So it's an emerging type of living lab intended to increase the sustainable resilience of blah blah. So, those big words. But the idea is also that we want to really explore that, and that really fascinates us with the potato pledge, that it goes all along the supply chain to make a difference. So that's academically, to study that and compare that and monitor it is very interesting for us. So living labs are used to facilitate stakeholder participation and to drive innovation on a broad range of things. I've showed you the link here. And they can take many forms. For example, testing new technologies and infrastructures, but also the one for what we want to use it here. There are some examples up here. I'm not going into that. And there's also other examples which are specifically for the agro-ecosystem living labs. Our colleagues in Switzerland are doing that. Research Institute for Organic Agriculture, FIBO, adopts a living lab approach to research organic agriculture. So they engage also with the on-farm network of farms do that a lot. And there's another example here, the Green Point Living Lab, which then relates to the short food supply chain. So, and this is in Slovenia, and there are further examples as well. So in some way, this is what we want to build with the Potato Pledge here in the UK. So the aim is in some way to increase the sustainability and the resilience of the potato production in the UK, and what could be the role of varieties for this aim. And you see a couple of varieties here at the back. So the aims would be to understand the scope and the variety choice to increase agrobiodiversity in the supply chain, exploring the barriers and opportunities around the increase of the uptake of these varieties, and creating a roadmap for mainstreaming this more sustainable, resilient potato varieties. For this one, we have actually said also not only in the organic supply chains, also we will focus on them, obviously, but later also in the conventional supply chain, all the ones which convert from conventional production into organic. Because as you know, organic is this growing market. So something will happen in the next 5 years there. Okay. So how can a living lab interact with this potato pledge? So it's not exactly the pledge, because the pledge is wider, it has more people. The living lab itself is a focus, and our focus is on agrobiodiversity and how it interacts with resilience and sustainability. And robustness is a key aspect for this potato varieties. And therefore we think the lab, we're thinking of two, one for organic and one for conventional farmers, will run alongside the first year of this pledge. And they will provide an opportunity and discuss light resistance and improve the pledge, and to discuss the broader picture of diversity and sustainability in potato farming. So this is our concept at the moment, which we are looking at. And who will be involved? So the key stakeholders, we've seen them before, could be organic and non-organic potato supply chains. We are thinking of two dedicated groups which running in parallel, coming together to share this information and best practice. And the organic group will consist of members and supporters of the pledge, and both groups will contribute to that roadmap. This is the plan now. And what will we involve in those living labs, if you asked us that? And we're going back, this is some slides we have created for Organic Plus, where we had a citizen jury model. So the participants will cooperate in 4 facilitated online meetings. So that's the plan. And the program of research will be conducted alongside the living labs. This is also the concept of the citizen juries. And you can see some of it on the Organic Plus website, but it will be a slightly different approach. And then the participants will be able to share this research to address their questions and engage with the results in each session. And then we'll have a website and other things to accompany the usual things. So this is a busy slide, but I think it's important to show that. So, and this is also for discussion. It's not set totally in stone. So maybe on the right-hand side, which is maybe the least interesting thing for you, but all these projects have certain tasks which they need to deliver, and the work we are doing in the Living Lab fits into those tasks. So what we are thinking is to have a kick-off for this in 2022, so in the new year of this Living Lab, and then have these 4 sessions, and if we have 2 different labs, we will have a concluding session in January 2023. So the ideas we have in the first session, for the first session, would be the key issues for the stakeholders. How does some initial insights. We have other countries to compare with. One is especially interesting is Italy, Germany, Poland, and Norway for that. So there will be some feed-in as well. And then we will have further session present some initial insights, some key supply chain barriers, what we can achieve here. And then it will finally go into what should be included in a further roadmap and develop that further. Yes, and I think that's all I wanted to show. So the organic, this is from our colleagues in Austria. It's a nice graph. They have about 15% of organic potatoes. In the UK it's between 1%. So obviously over the next 5 years we'll see hopefully some kind of increase of the potato area in terms of organic, but also some of what is currently maybe non-organic may change towards organic production. Thank you very much for that. This is the overview of this Food Diverse project. You see our website here, funding acknowledgement, and Rosa's name. She's done most of those nice slides, and my name is here as well. There are further questions, so we're now getting into the discussion phase. I don't know if you have maybe other questions, but the ones we wanted when we prepared the slides, for example, I presented you like a plan, but this is open for discussion. We discuss it internally as well. For example, interesting for us would be, should organic and conventional be in separate groups, or should they be together? And even our team, we had 2 different opinions on that. So we decided we better ask you what you think, what should we do? Would it make sense to focus on diversity also in other UK staple crops? One of them was a grain diversity lab to act on this potato lab. That's the question for this. Because potato is, that's why maybe not so many people are here. It's a staple crop, it's grown on large fields, it's not a horticulture crop anymore. So that way it's interesting, but a lot of those farmers also do grain, and maybe we can also do that. So, any other suggestions? Thank you.
Or did you want to try and answer?
Yeah, well, let's see what happens. Yeah. No, I don't have the answer. That's why I asked the question. But maybe Rebecca had one.
Do we have thoughts on the organic and conventional being in separate groups or in one? So that's the study group. Does anybody have thoughts?
I think potentially there would be interest from conventional potato growers who we can dimension chemistry and like control of it. And then some of the Rebecca will be able to give us a better steer than what she's seeing on the conventional grower base. But a lot of the partners that you've got have conventional arms to their business as well. So I'm just thinking about Agroecology particularly. I don't think it should be ruled out, but I think it is an opportunity for organics to be seen to be leading the way in something like this.
Yeah.
But it's maybe not as niche as we potentially thought. If you've got, if you generate a solution, it would be really powerful.
No, I want to see what Rebecca says.
Is she there?
Is she still there? Rebecca? Maybe she.
Oh,
Hi, I'm still here. Very well was just said in the crowd. I haven't been able to hear everything very well, so you might need to repeat the question.
Well, actually, that was a really nice question, wasn't it? Not really.
Yes, so maybe the question is in a way, how do you, in Waitrose, work or others, how do you see working together with organic farmers? Should we expand this pledge to non-organic farmers, conventional farmers who are maybe interested in that? How do you see the relationship there in this?
I think I can put most of that. So the question is whether or not we expand it to non-organic farmers. I think I'm kind of really difficult to give you a full answer on that, because I think where we have approached it with our organic base, we have followed the views of many of our growers. And our growers were incredibly supportive of moving in this direction. I have taken our conventional growers having the same view, but I think unless we have had those conversations completely in the same way that we included the organic growers, then it's hard to say the truth that they'd be as receptive, because we've been very kind of inclusive with our growers. But having said that, there are a lot of our conventional growers who would see the same problem with woodbine and with controls, and who would have the same request for innovation in this way, be able to tackle those issues. So I can see why this might be attractive for growers, but I, at the moment, would struggle to say whether or not would or should, because I don't feel like we have necessarily the same opportunity to engage in this discussion that we have with others.
Thank you. Just on the organic, conventional theme, so we've spoken a little bit about the pledge and monitoring, so this is moving a bit away from the thinking lab idea. Have you got more to say on how you think it might monitor the aspirations of the pledge in terms of organic versus conventional? What we might do there?
Yes, I think the pledge has to define how much it wants. I think it's a definition within the pledge how much organic it wants to be. The living lab is slightly more like a research thing, so where you can compare the conventional sector. But for the pledge itself, I personally think it would be better to keep it just to organic and not, because maybe it's easy at least to start with, to almost like what Rebecca said. I like that. To be open to the conventional side, but drive it from the organic side in some way. And if someone is really interested, comes on board, that's fine. But otherwise, it would slow it down too much, so make this complicated. And we have only 5 years. So. But I think that how much it's also within the pledge members also. But I've understood that there are quite a few, for example, the breeders. They obviously are into the organic and the conventional market as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be big enough. The organic market is only 1%, so they cannot really breed for that. And Waitrose also is doing probably 95% of its. Well, I don't know the number. You can tell us that of non-organic. So we have to be realistic. And for us, why it's interesting also academically is because the impact is bigger than if we include the conventional.
Yeah. So I think that's worth stressing.
Yeah. So in terms of monitoring, we would say if the pledge stays with organic, then it needs also to show that it has how it creates impact beyond the organic sector also, and that's an interesting thing to see the success.
Yeah. So I really like that.
Yeah, if you would mind, if I could add in on this, I do think that's a really important point for Ulrich is that when we're talking about the numbers of growers on the organic side, we have much more condensed and very an organic group is built around a select number of growers who are able to work with us in this. When we talk about the conventional side, that is the majority of our sales are going through the conventional side. Now, that doesn't mean in no way is that possible, but it also brings up sort of that barriers in terms of being able to do our scale up seed production, for example, for the right level, and also being able to hit some of those other sustainability factors. So we have organic growers growing in certain contexts, but we will have growers across the country who are dealing with very, very different groups of growing conditions. And I know we talked about some of those breeding attributes that we think are really important. When you increase the numbers of growers and the scale of the size, I think that will take much more thought and focus from ourselves in terms of how do we then make this wider to be able to allow those growers on a much larger scale to then also be able to focus on those sustainability attributes, and how do we enable them to tackle those multiple challenges that they are looking at the same time. By no means do I think it's possible, but far from it. I think it is just, as I said before, the start of a conversation, but it is a much more detailed conversation, and I do think there's an awful lot to be said from focusing on one aspect of the industry, it right and making it work, to then look to explore the rest of the industry.
I have a question about branding for Rebecca. Anybody else got?
Yeah, Stephen's making from organic farmers and growers. Hello, Rebecca. You can't see me.
Don't hear me, that you can see.
Can she hear me? Rebecca, can you hear me? Hi, Stephen Jacobs, Organic Farmers and Growers. We've met once or twice.
Yes, I can definitely.
It's a general question though, it's not just for you, but to Hugh as well. Have you got varieties that are robust, that will be ready for 100% in 5 years? And we would very much, Ulrich, would like to support this and would like to have that conversation. But we also just want to see what sort of commitment, what levels of volume we've got. I asked a load of growers before, when Hugh was talking to us about this a little while ago, and there have been occasions where they've had really good quantities of robust varieties and then they dried up. So it's just about how we manage expectation, what the levels of output or throughput there'll be, where the breeders are at, what sort of breeding programs. One of my growers said it takes 10 years, so if there isn't something in the pipeline now, or if there is, how much is there, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's real nitty-gritty, but that's where they go.
Yeah, no, that is all of the kind of details that we need to be looking at. In terms of where we are at the moment with our progress in those varieties that we're looking at. So we are further along in this process, but we're still at the start, if that's not contradictory. Is that we do have varieties that we're using that would be classed as robust. We have varieties that are resistant that we're working with. But we are always trialing and increasing. And so I think that was one of the exciting things that I felt really helped to enable this within our own supply chains. Now produce that we're working with really closely on this, and the organics are really innovative, and they're always trialing different types of varieties and looking for all those key attributes. So focusing in on those cooking attributes and those eating quality attributes, but also those attributes of growing. So making sure we've got the right type of resistance, or we're looking at a type of growing attribute which we might need, like areas that we particularly see in some of those growing areas. And we know that drought resistance and tolerance is going to be something that we have to look more at as an attribute. So it might even be that the varieties we're choosing now still need to adapt to be able to see the circumstances we're growing in 5-10 years. So I don't think that was a particularly concise answer to your question, Hugh, but hopefully it gives a little bit of review of where we need more detail and where we're going to continue to try it.
And just to add on as well, so maybe another way to frame the question could be, if we could achieve that 100%, but in 6 years or 7 years, and therefore include more farmers, does that, take away from the strength of the convention, or does it actually increase it? It would be a shame to turn away people. We've set a timeline, that we follow this Dutch covenant model.
Can I just to go on that Dutch covenant model, that Dutch covenant model, if that's based on the Louis Blogg thing, that started in 2009. So they were already at the 10-year at the weather point. So that was a 20-year project. I think they got refunded at year 10 or 11. So that's not a 5-year thing.
The covenant itself,
it was built on the Louis Blogg robust potato program. The Louis Blogg robust potato program was, I think, 2009 to 19.
Right, and then built on
Yeah.
from 2017, I thought, from the...
Okay, well, that's what it says in the Louis Blogg. So I'm just saying that if we're looking at this, if we've got growers out there, as I'm sure you can know, growing potatoes, organic or not organic, is a really specialised thing to do, and to not completely ruin the ground, so you've got nothing to grow next year. For organic, it's even harder, because it's got to be in a rotation. Working out a rotation for potatoes is tricky, but people are doing it, and those that are still doing it are reasonably successful. However, there's a lot of challenges to overcome that, to make sure that our retailer customers are still able to service their customers. One of the problems that retailers come up against, I'm sure you've had this, Rebecca, where after the British potatoes go out of season and the retailers choose to, or forced to import from the Middle East, when they go back to the British ones, complaints go up because they've got bits and pieces on the Schmutz. So there's a whole load of stuff that has to be gone through. I mean, to some extent, this doesn't need to, the pledge doesn't need to think about all of that today. But I would like to see some sort of train of thought looking at maybe a 10-year program that could be revisited again, like I say, refunded at year 10. I mean, that would be an ideal. So yeah, as you say, it's 6 or 7, whatever, as long as there are good, robust varieties in sufficient quantity for the members of the network.
I think just to replay that back, so I understand that, I just feel, and I'm very new to this, that we're in a position where, from a breeding perspective, we're kind of right at the start, so there isn't necessarily, probably maybe haven't had the insight as to what's in the pipeline already. So if we had a better understanding of what was in the pipeline already, then we'd probably build confidence we'd be able to build confidence on your part to say, right, we're kind of a bit further down the line than at 0, we're probably at 4 or 5, and therefore by 2026 we're going to get there. So there's probably just a bit of gap in knowledge there that we need to kind of backfill to build confidence. I don't know the answer to your question, Stephen, but I know what needs to be answered.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly with breeding, we're not starting from scratch. I don't think there is a small number of varieties on the market, but that number has increased quite rapidly. I mean, I think you don't have to go see in line with an increased demand from the market will be challenging. But I think, I think my message is that maybe it won't happen in 5 years, but I don't think that we're not starting from a standing start. That's my view.
Yeah, maybe, but what I could ask you in terms of what the pledge thinks, what will happen after 5 years. All problems in the world have been solved. You know, it's unlikely, so I think one could already think, you know, if I evaluate it now, I would call it hugely ambitious in a way to do that in 5 years, also based on what was just said. But if you're not ambitious, you don't achieve anything. So being maybe slightly over-ambitious is better than under-ambitious. So that's one answer. And then the other one is there must be something after the 5 years. You know, what will we do after that? And currently it looks like we've solved all the problems in the world, and I can already predict that we haven't.
No, it's really good to hear your thoughts. And yeah, certainly that we've created some kind of roadmap, you know, going forward, ratcheting it up by 20% or 20%. But probably most important for me is the fact that there is a collaborative effort across the various parties. It's nice to have a roadmap, and I think that is useful to measure, and that's what we will then, in an ongoing relationship with CAWR, looking at how are we getting there, or why are we not? What are the barriers? You know, how significant are they? Will they derail it or not? Or, you know, and so for me, it's the fact that there is established agreement that then means that we collaborate and move forward and have a bit more transparency and movement with the conversation. So it will be interesting to see how it pans out. But yeah, that would be my take on it. It's a voluntary agreement. You know, it's not like it will be legally binding, and it's not like there will be fines or, you know, it doesn't have that much clout in that respect. It's not adhering to an organic standard, or, you know, so it's really on the goodwill of who's getting involved and trying to move it to a more sustainable place across a period of time. Which is why I'm really excited that CAWR was as a spin-off, but really hopefully expand the impact of it. We're investigating different ways of both part and look at it in this living lab format, which just links in really well with it, but hopefully makes it have more impact. If there are no more questions, maybe we will. It's pretty much on a time. So thank you very much for coming to this small but very interesting, exciting, exclusive, thank you, Ulrich, and thank you, Rebecca, for persevering with online.
No,
Thank you very much.
All right, so say bye.